Hello everyone. Okay, I'm not entirely sure this is in focus. Oh well. Welcome to another writing vlog. I wanted to have the whole process of this book captured in vlog format because I think I have vlogged literally the entire process because I did the two NaNoWriMo vlogs, so I like having my vlogs so I can look back and see like what I was thinking at the time that I was writing. So I have been writing a novel called Holding a Ghost. It's hard to say when I started it. I started in its current format for NaNoWriMo. I haven't worked on it since. NaNoWriMo was great. I wrote about 30K. I've since taken some time off because I had a bunch of short fiction tasks I wanted to do, and I had some work to do on my other novel that is in the editing stage. Now it is time to go back to Holding a Ghost. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go back and read over the whole thing. I edit as I write. I wasn't able to do that too much because I was doing NaNoWriMo, so I haven't yet read the whole thing over. So the first step for me is going to be reading over everything I've written, and there are a couple scenes I'm not happy with. I'm not planning to make any large changes to the book. I feel actually great about the draft, but there are 3 scenes I've marked that I'm really not pleased with. And then obviously I just want to like polish the line and also just reacquaint myself with the book before I continue writing it. I'm hoping it'll take maybe until the end of February, and then I'll start actually working on the draft in March. I will pop back in later. Hello friend. I have some books that I need to put away from my last recent reads video, and I figured while I did that, because I've got quite a lot of rearranging to do with the bookshelf, I would chat to you guys about my book and multitask. Yeah, when I film recent reads videos, you guys see I have this stack of books over here. This is books I've read but haven't reviewed yet. This is my TBR, and then these are the books that I haven't put away after my last recent reads video. And the reason I haven't put them away is because I've been procrastinating it because I'm running out of room on the bookshelves a little bit. So we have to do some rejigging. The first thing that I was going to do was go through my bookshelf and pull any books that I want to get rid of. I do have this bin here, which is books that I'm going to donate. I just haven't been able to donate them because the place where you can go to donate books is closed because of the pandemic. When I'm going through and I'm figuring out which books I don't want anymore, it's not based on what I like or didn't like. It's kind of like, does it have value to me in my life? So there are books that I kind of want to keep just because I like the cover, or even if I didn't like the book, I have strong feelings about it. But there are some that maybe I want to get rid of because I just don't really have strong feelings about them. I don't think there will be too much pruning to do because I did it a couple months ago. Over the weekend, I have been rereading the beginning of Holding a Ghost, which has been really, honestly, really nice. Do I keep the Falconer? I feel like this doesn't hold any value to me. So I've been reading over the book. Now, normally I reread my work quite a lot while I'm drafting it. Oh man, I'm being really brutal. Should I get rid of The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde? I feel like this is such a popular book that I feel like I shouldn't get rid of it, but I also don't have any emotional attachment to it. Okay, I'm getting rid of them. This is a dust jacket from my novel that my friend Rachel made for me. I'll leave her video of her making it in the description because she's amazing at cover design, and she made me this beautiful dust jacket. She sent it to me on another book, but I have the book not with the jacket because I have to review it, so I'm just trying to make sure this doesn't get squished. And normally I edit my books quite a lot while I'm writing them. I don't know, I just kind of pick at my work a lot while I'm writing it. And so as a result, I don't just write it all the way through and then go back and read it at the end. Like, I'm always rereading things. Because I wrote this during NaNoWriMo, that's why I hadn't really looked it over when that's normally something that I do. Started reading it on Friday. It was such a relaxing process. I haven't changed things that much. I do have a tendency to add things quite a bit as I'm editing them just because I am an underwriter, but I haven't been adding too much. I think I've added like 2,000 words so far, and I've read about 100 pages, so really not that bad. So this is what I moved into my donate pile. Honestly, way more than I thought. I thought I was gonna pull like 3 books. Yeah, I don't have strong feelings on any of these. And I have to say, I'm so happy with the book. Like, I cannot express how much of a relief it is to have been working on this stupid book. I mean, it's not a stupid book. Sorry. On this lovely book since 2000 and, God, what was it? 15. So when I got the idea and wrote the first draft, 2015. And to finally feel like it's working. What a process. I mean, this book has been so many different books throughout its lifespan. And it's finally, I think, in its optimal form. I'm aware that it doesn't really follow many traditional storytelling rules. Experimental fiction, one might say. I don't feel as nervous about the fact that it's kind of experimental as I think I did when I started writing it. I don't know, I feel a kind of contentment with the book that I don't think I've ever felt before. Obviously, this book has gone through such an evolution. It's put me through the ringer in so many ways, and it's taken so much reflection and so many scary decisions to get it to the point it is. I've had to reinvent the book and make some really drastic choices that were scary, and I wasn't sure if they were the right choices at the time, but I just have this sense that they are the right choice, and I feel so sure that I'm doing the right thing with the book. And I don't know, it's just such a relief having started this in 2015 as a completely different novel. And part of the reason I think there's no stress at all is just because I have this appreciation for the fact that the book is finally where it needs to be after God knows how many drafts, how many years, how many edits, how many crying sessions there's been. Is there anything else that I feel the need to say about my book? I'm just really thankful I have it back in my life. You know, there was a period where I wasn't sure if this book was going to remain a part of my life. I feel weird now that I'm not doing anything. I'm just standing in the room talking. Should I roll up a chair? I wasn't sure if I had a future with this book. I wasn't sure what I was gonna do with it. That was so hard because it was something that simultaneously meant a lot to me and also caused me a lot of stress. This was back when it was its old version called I'm Fine, back when it was a YA contemporary, and I didn't know what to do because I simultaneously loved it and I didn't see a way forward with the book. There was a period of time where I didn't like the main character. I think so much of my dislike for the book and how the book was turning out and my inability to make the book turn out the way I wanted, I put it onto the main character. I considered her a character I didn't even really like. I have a new bond with and appreciation for the main character. I just feel like it's finally where it's been wanting to be for 6 years, and obviously there's no way when I was 18 and I first started this book that I could have foreseen that this is what it would become. No way whatsoever. I think it had to go through that evolution, but knowing how the book made me feel in the past, how stressed it sometimes made me feel, now the book being in a form where it's almost soothing to work on is just so nice. So I'm gonna stop rambling now. I will probably finish reading over the beginning of the book in the next couple days. I just talked for 15 minutes, so that's fun. Hello everybody. So it's March 4th? Yeah, it's March 4th. It's about noon. I'm just about to go run to the grocery store because I don't really have much food in the house. Yesterday I finished rereading Holding a Ghost. I really enjoyed reading it over. I didn't add that much, maybe max 2,000 words. I'm not sure exactly, but it really wasn't that much, which was really nice because normally I add a lot when I'm editing because I underwrite the first drafts, and so then I have a tendency to really add a lot while I'm revising them. Even though it's not like the book is looking like it's gonna be too long or anything. I mean, it's gonna be a short book, but I would like to keep it short. I'm really happy with the draft. Obviously, when other people read it, I'm sure they'll find many things that I can fix, but based on my current personal assessment, there's nothing that I'm like bothered by. It turns out I actually ended in the middle of a chapter, which is really weird. My chapters are super short, right? So it's kind of like I ended in the middle of a scene, which I totally forgot about. I thought that I had finished the scene, but I guess I haven't drafted this since November 30th. I was so tired on that last day of NaNoWriMo, and I was starting to feel a little burnt out from doing all that writing, that I just wrote like a couple hundred words and then called it a day, and I never finished the chapter. The form of my book changes a lot, like chapter by chapter, but there is a type of chapter called Things You Don't Know About, and then like a character's name. The book is like from the perspective of a ghost who lives in the main character's house. So the narrator is not the main character, but the ghost narrator is essentially omniscient. She doesn't act omniscient most of the time because she's very fixated on the main character, but she is technically like omniscient with like some small caveats on that. For that reason, she knows a lot of things about other characters that the main character doesn't know. And so as a way of character building, there are these chapters that are literally just like a list of things that the main character doesn't yet know about these side characters. All of them are formatted the same. They're like a numbered list, and they start with very basic information like birth date and like place of birth, and then the next point is like parent's name, and then it goes to more detailed anecdotes or facts that become like more internal or more abstract or more specific as it goes on. So currently I'm writing the third of those types of chapters. I think there's gonna be 4 of them. And it's about Val is June's roommate, and he's a really delightful character. I would protect that boy with my life. They're hard chapters to write. They have to be formatted in a very specific way, and they build in a very specific way. So I think on that day I was really tired. I was like, I don't have the energy to write this more tricky chapter, so I just stopped in the middle. So I'm in the middle of a scene. That's where I'm picking up. On my like pending writing tasks, I have this draft, and then I also have a short story to edit that I had workshopped last week. I'm like, should I just try to edit that story? The last story that I edited, How to Slaughter, my vlog of me editing it should already be up. It didn't even take a week to edit, and that story was like twice as long as this one. So part of me is like, should I just try to edit this, like it's only gonna take a few days and then that will be off my plate, and it won't contribute to tasks piling up as they inevitably do. Like, should I try to mitigate that by just getting that out of the way? But then at the same time, I feel like I have been trying to just get tasks out of the way for months, and that's why I took 3 months off of drafting this book. I have a really, really bad habit. It's my worst writing habit of getting feedback on pieces of work and then not editing them for a really long time because I start to overthink it. I don't know exactly how to approach the revision. I don't know exactly what I need to do, and so I just overthink it, and then I end up not doing it, and the longer you leave it, the harder it seems to go back to. So I've been trying to mitigate that recently, and I've been successfully just editing my stories right after I write them, and it's been great. Like, I got a story accepted a couple weeks ago that I wrote in October. Like, that's the quickest draft to publication turnaround I've ever done, and it's because I just edited the darn thing. Like, I wrote it, I gave it to a critique partner, I did the edits right away, I sent it off. So I'm thinking maybe I should try to just get this story edited, ship it off to some magazines, and then I don't have to think about it. Now would be a good time to do it before I get into a flow of the draft and then have to like break that up. I don't want to start letting stories I need to edit pile up, and I already have another story that I've written a first draft of, and I'll probably workshop that one the next time we do a workshop. And so I don't know, I just think I should get the story edited out of the way, but then I'm also like, are you just... Because it's not that I've been procrastinating Holding a Ghost because I don't want to write Holding a Ghost. It's like I've been procrastinating it because I'm scared of having too many pending writing tasks pile up and it being overwhelming. And so then in my quest to just get through all of these tasks, I haven't written my actual book. But there's also literally no rush to draft this. Like, I don't need a draft of this book. I have another book in the editing stage that I'm gonna be querying. Like, I don't need a finished draft of Holding a Ghost for a long time. So maybe I should just focus on the thing that I could actually start submitting immediately as soon as it's done. Anyways, that's where I'm at. So it is Friday, March 5th. I've pretty much finished up all the work I need to do for the week. I found out today that I'm on the long list for the CBC prize. I literally can't believe it. This is the biggest thing that has ever happened in my writing career. I got the email this morning and I've just been, sorry, I'm inside even though I'm wearing my mask. I'm about to leave the house because I'm going to go buy myself a celebratory cinnamon bun. I have literally been smiling about it all day. Like, all day while I've been doing my work, I've just been smiling, and sometimes I'm just like, holy shit, I'm on the CBC prize long list. Oh my god. Obviously, I can't announce it yet because they're not announcing it until early April. It'll be announced by the time this video goes up. In fact, by the time this video is up, the winner is already probably announced. I'm probably not the winner. If I am, hey. I've just been smiling about it all day. I can't believe it. I never thought that this would happen. This has nothing to do with Holding a Ghost. It just has to do with the best moment of my life. Hello. Okay, so it's a little bit later on the same day. I'm going to spend pretty much most of my evening working on editing a story. So I mentioned earlier how I had a story that I wasn't sure if I wanted to edit now or start working on Holding a Ghost. The story in question is called I Am a Wolf in Wolf's Clothing, and I decided to just edit it because I don't think it's going to take that long. Yesterday I went through my workshop notes and all of the written comments from my workshop, and I broke it down into all of the points I wanted to address, and I really don't think it's going to take that long to edit. There was something one of my workshop members said in their written feedback, and it was, I don't think I need another scene, I just need more lines. And I was like, okay, that's really validating. I don't think I need to change the structure hugely. I'm actually gonna remove a scene. And so it's mostly just context. There's not a lot of restructuring going on. This story, I think the workshop centered a lot around, like, how do we steer this story towards saying what it wants to say? Because right now, there's a really interesting character and there's some really high tension events, but it's not necessarily saying cohesively one thing. It seems like the story doesn't really necessarily know what all its pieces are pointing towards. Because I don't think it's going to take that long, I just wanted to get it out of the way. Just again, so I don't have a ton of tasks hanging over my head. I don't have any stories that I in the idea phase at the moment, and I'm hoping I don't get any, and even if I do get an idea, I'm probably not going to start it, even though normally that's what I would do. I really just want some time off from short fiction and from editing my other novel so I can draft Holding a Ghost, and I think to do that I need to get everything off my plate. I'm not going to talk about editing the story anymore in this video. I don't think there's really going to be anything to say. I'm doing the same process that I did for How to Slaughter, which I have another vlog of me editing that story if you want to know my short fiction editing process. Basically, it's the same, probably just a bit simpler here because it's a much simpler story. Welcome back to this blue wall. I bet you're so tired of seeing this blue wall. I believe yesterday, although I have to check, it's been a year since I started writing Holding a Ghost, like the first time around. Like when I think about how long I've been writing this book, I say that I've been writing it since November because that's when I started this draft. But I technically had a draft before this draft, a failure of a draft, a false start of a draft that I started, I think it was March 8th, but it might have been March 7th of 2020. It's 4:30. I have been feeling so alive. Every March I feel so alive because we start to get like longer hours of daylight and I just feel myself waking up from emotional hibernation of the winter. Even though I like the winter, my ideal season would be like fall or winter weather with like spring and summer daylight, because I love like cold gloomy weather, but I hate the sun setting at 4:30. If it could be like cold and gloomy but the sun could set at like 7:30, thoughts on that? Any weather gods watching want to make that happen for me? So yesterday I started working on the draft of Holding a Ghost again. It was kind of a pain because, like I said in a previous clip, I had stopped writing the book in the middle of a hard chapter. So I actually didn't even finish that chapter, the Things You Know About Val chapter. I got 8 points into it and they all have 10 points. But just now, I think I realized what I'm gonna do for my last 2 points. And the last 2 points of those chapters usually have to be like the most internal because each point kind of gets deeper into their psychology. The thing with Val is that Val, of all the main cast, he is the most periphery to the conflict. Once I got to that point in the chapter where I was like, now you have to get into like the depths of his psychology, I didn't know how to go. I didn't know where to go because it's something that I've never explored with Val, even though he's always felt like a very clear character to me and I can write his interactions in the story with such ease. I don't know, I don't do character building before I start a book. I just write the book. I don't really do anything. I don't plan. I'm a discovered writer. And so this has never really come up. It's never really been something to explore. I think now I know what I'm gonna do for that. I just hadn't thought about it. So did most of that chapter and then I moved on to the next 2 chapters. So because I wanted to keep writing and I just didn't feel like I knew how to write that chapter. And then immediately I hit another one of these stupid things you know about chapters. There's 4 in the book. And I forgot that the Val one and the Kara and Felix one are like right next to each other. Like there's only 2 chapters in between. And so I was like, I'm free of this really difficult chapter. Oh wait, back again. I think that this one will be okay to write though because Kara and Felix are characters that I am very familiar with since I started writing them in the original draft of this book. I wrote a whole novel that was about the 3 siblings' internal conflict. I feel like I have ideas on how to approach this Val chapter, and so I kind of just want to do it. So I have a new candle to light, and so I think it'll be a good way to keep me writing for a long period of time because you know when you light a new candle, you have to burn it for like several hours so it doesn't tunnel. It'll kind of force me to write for a long period of time because I don't want the candle to tunnel. So I have to keep writing until like the candle is adequately burned. Pro tips. It's been a while. I don't really know the dates, to be honest. I haven't really been keeping track of time. How long has it been since I restarted the draft and started working on it? It's been what, 3 weeks? I don't even know. How much have I written? Probably less than 2,000 words. I was so excited to start working on this book again. I feel like I immediately hit a wall, and I feel like sometimes that happens. It doesn't go as you were expecting and it kind of kills your motivation. And the weird thing is I almost didn't even notice that I wasn't writing. When I came back to this novel after taking several months off, which was fine, I'm glad I took several months off. Post-nano coma is what I was in. I have other things I'm working on that I wanted to get through. So the break was needed, no regrets about the break, but finally it was time to come back to this book. I really wanted to get a decent chunk of the book written because I'm going to be going into the process of doing critiquing rounds for my other novel, Honey Vinegar, soon. It's with a critique partner now, but when I get edits back from them, it'll be back to Honey Vinegar and it'll be intense. And so I was like, I want to take some time, work on Holding a Ghost, get a decent chunk out of it. And I really thought it would be super easy. You know, I've said before, this book writes so easy, it writes so quick, it's so easy, because I started it during NaNoWriMo and it was so easy to write. Literally, I've just been chipping away at these 2 chapters since I started. These literally 2 chapters, and to be clear, my chapters are like 3 pages. And so it shouldn't take months to write 2 of them. What happened was, it's happened before. The writing isn't going that well, and so you don't want to work on it, and so you just don't work on it. Like, naturally, if you're keen on what you're writing, you're gonna want to come back to it and work on it more often, and if you're not too keen on it, there's nothing motivating you to open the document every day. I do think it's interesting to be able to observe what throws me off when I am writing just based on how I feel, right? And so it's like I almost didn't even realize that I wasn't picking up the book. Last week I barely wrote. I don't think I wrote at all. I spent the week mostly prepping content for this channel. You know, the way I do content for this channel is I basically batch make it. I find that that's the way I've got to do it with making video content for another channel as part of my job. I spent a lot of my free time last week prepping content for this channel, which is great because I made a lot of content. Like, I am scheduled in for a while. Was that just a way to procrastinate writing? I don't know, maybe. Yesterday, I asked myself, what's different between now and November? Because in November, I wrote every day and it felt so easy, and I was like shocked at how easy the book was to write. What's different? Well, in November I was doing a writing everyday challenge, and it just allowed me to not get stuck. And I realized there's nothing harder about the chapters I'm writing right now. I've been telling myself, oh, these are hard chapters. Maybe they are hard chapters. There were hard chapters I wrote during November that I didn't spend a month chipping away at a 700-word chapter. In November, if something wasn't going well, I just wrote it, and if I didn't like it, that was okay. I knew I could come back and edit it later. I was getting into this habit of, it's not turning out how I like it, so I'm not going to work on it, which is really easy to fall into without even noticing you're doing it. In my mind, I was like, after these 2 tough chapters, it's going to be easy. I know everything that happens for quite a while, and I'm getting to the section of the book I'm most excited to write, right? Like, it's all gonna be good. I don't know what I was waiting for to push me to finish these little chapters I've been chipping away on it. I don't know, I find it so interesting. It's like, this has happened to me before where I'm super pumped to start writing a project, or start writing a project again after like a break or an editing pass or dealing with other things, and then I start and I'm immediately like, nope. I had built up no momentum, obviously because I hadn't worked on the book in months. And so then when initially they were chapters I struggled with, just completely threw me off. I need to just sit down and write a bad version of these chapters. Like, it's not a big deal. I've had multiple chapters in the book where I wasn't happy with the first draft. I just put a note of that in my evolving outline, and then I went back and rewrote it later and it was fine. Yesterday, I feel like I started actually making progress on that yesterday. I actually sat down and like started working through one of these chapters that was giving me a problem. I still haven't finished the chapter before it. It's not a big deal. These things happen and it's normal and it's fine. Interesting to note the things that can throw you off and like how fragile that writing momentum can be. But I do want to talk about, you can be very process positive and like totally know that it's okay to roll with your creativity's ups and downs and still sometimes feel disappointed. I feel disappointed because on the weekend, I had a long weekend. So I never book off holidays. So because of that, I had my first long weekend in forever and I didn't get any writing done. And part of me feels like I wasted it. In the end, like, that's just one day, right? Like, why romanticize a random day? Like, I was romanticizing this one day so much as soon as I knew I was gonna have this one day off. And I'm not saying you have to use your time off to create, but I usually don't feel well rested at the end of a weekend if I haven't worked on my book or created anything. Like, I feel like that's often like my time to create, and if I don't use it to create, I just feel like at the end of the weekend. And it's not like in the way of like, oh, you should feel bad because you weren't productive. It's more like creating is what relaxes me, it's what resets my brain. Like, it's like self-care, right? And so when I don't do it in that time, I just feel weird. I feel restless. It was just one day, right? Like, we're talking about one day. But I guess in my brain, I felt like it was like, oh, the special day. Better use that. I guess I did write a bit because I did a writing sprint with some friends. So I did one writing sprint worth of writing, but it felt like a waste. That annoyed me, and that's kind of what got me to start thinking about this. When I say that I want to create during this time, it's not because the productivity or the output is important, but it's because it's important for me personally, especially during the pandemic. I've got so little to find fulfillment in. Creating is really the thing that I have, and I'm sure a lot of people are in that boat. And so I feel like I wasted this magical special day, even though it was just one day. And so I was disappointed by that. And that's what made me realize like why are you so off your game? I was annoyed with myself for that. I'm very careful with my time because I always want to make sure like I have time to create. When I get just free time, free extra time, a whole free 24 hours, well, I guess I wouldn't have been working. So really it was 8 extra hours and I don't use it. So I don't know, I just want to be real about that. Maybe sometimes it seems like I've gotten so comfortable with my process's lows that they don't bother me, but they do bother me sometimes, and this one bothered me. When you're annoyed with your creative process, you're annoyed with yourself. I felt annoyed with myself. But there are times where the thing that's sapping the joy out of writing is that you're not writing. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this little hiccup in my process. So I hope that the next clip I will be here going, and I fixed it, it worked, I'm on a roll again, but maybe that won't be the case. Hey guys, so it's the next day, it's March 24th. So yesterday I had that like really angsty clip where I was talking about, you know, being disappointed in myself. I also said at the end of that clip, I really hope in the next clip I'm sitting down to say, hey, it all worked, and hey, it all worked. I'm really feeling my book. So yesterday I actually had a really nice long writing session. Kind of left it a bit late in the day again because I was not too motivated, so I didn't start writing until quite late. Even when I was done writing, like I was trying to fall asleep and I had to keep waking up to like write down notes. Whatever little block was there, I have broken through it. There is still one chapter that I haven't finished. I don't know, I'll come back to that later. I'm not too worried about it. Happy with how the last chapter turned out. It's a chapter that I had been struggling with for a while, struggling to find a thread, a way to kind of unify it into feeling like a complete whole chapter. And I feel like I got that. So it's 4 p.m. right now, so I have a bit more work to do. I'm gonna go pop dinner in the oven and have a really early dinner so that while my food is cooking, because I'm just like roasting some veggies and that takes a while, I can do the last bit of work that I need to do for the day, and then I should be able to have dinner around like right after 5, which is very early, but I'm hungry now and I feel like that would allow me to be able to start writing and hopefully have a nice writing evening. It's raining out, which is like my favorite weather to write in. It's cozy. I'm glad I turned things around from the last clip. You know, it was a little writing funk, but it was not that big a deal. We're back in business. I thought I was gonna make like 15,000 words of progress in this vlog, and I think I literally made a spicy like 4,000. Hello guys, so it's the next day and I just wanted to film a final clip to this vlog. I just got out of my meetings for the morning, so when I started this vlog I was like, okay, there's about 30,000 words left to write in this book. Maybe it'll be like a 2-part vlog to end it, right? Like I'll write like 10 to 15,000 in each part. I think I wrote about 4,000 words, but that's okay because the reason I wanted to film this clip is because I think I've really like built some momentum. I had a great day of writing yesterday. It was so nice. I think part of what was so nice is that I started writing really early in the day. Not early, but like early after work. I'm gonna try and do that again today. And I feel like as I was writing, I could feel things clarifying and I keep getting ideas for the next few chapters. I'm happy to report that I've turned things around. For now, I'm still planning on just working on this book for a pretty significant amount of time. I don't have any short stories in the works. My other novel is still with a critique partner, so this is the main project for quite a while. Like, the joy of writing this book has come back. Yesterday I was like, oh, it's the joy. It's the joy of writing this book that I love so much, and it's back. We'll end it at a point where I'm not having a crisis, and then each one of these vlogs can have a nice little arc, you know? Start with me being like, it's all good, and then I can have a crisis in the middle, and then I resolve it. That seems like a good way to structure these. So I assume I'll have another crisis at some point, and that will be in the next video. Until then, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can always send me an ask on Tumblr, and I'll see you in another video.